It's almost Halloween, which means it's time for some corpses. Hi, welcome back to Squid Think. Today we're going to be talking about green burials and how you can be eco-conscious even after you die. In the Western world, we generally tend to have a very traditional, set way of doing funerals. And this normally involves embalming or cremation, caskets, grave liners. Embalming fluid is a chemical cocktail of substances, the main chemical being formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is a known carcinogen, and this is going into the soil, which is being taken up by the plants, and the plants get eaten by animals. You see the problem here. Green burials, on the other hand, are an alternative that I don't think gets discussed enough. Green burials can be as simple as just putting a body into the dirt, or it can be as complex as you like it to be, where you can add personal touches to the funeral aspect, or you can have shrouds, or even a handmade, sustainably sourced woven casket. I know bits and pieces from just watching YouTube videos and doing bits and pieces of research on the effects of formaldehyde on the environment, but I wanted to talk to someone who's actually worked in the funeral industry. So I had a chat with Cara Mayer, who's the owner of ARKA Original Funerals. She gave me some more insight into actually what's involved in a green funeral, how they compare to traditional ceremonies, and an insight into what I would like to do with my body. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Hi, welcome back to Squid Think. So today I have Cara Mayer with me here. Cara, thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure.
Cara is the founder of ARKA Original Funerals, and she's the main funeral director here as well. So, can you tell me how long you've been working in the funeral industry?
I began working in the traditional funeral world in 1998, so it was in the same year my mum died. So I started working in the funeral world because I wanted to see what those weird funeral directors did.
So what made you want to transition from traditional funeral home to green funeral home?
I started working for quite a large corporate company, one of the two big major funeral corporate companies, and it was just horrific, to be honest. I was used to working with people with learning disabilities, so used to empowering people. There was none of that. I thought, this isn't right. I enjoyed this work, but I need to find a way of doing it that sits right with me.
So I've been to a couple of funerals because I'm a person who knows people who've died, as many people are. But I don't really know much about the process between what happens between you receiving the body from the family and having the actual funeral. Can you tell me a little bit about what happens in between those two?
Well, I would think with large firms, what they may do is collect the body and then take the body to a hub that they might have, maybe on an estate, an industrial estate somewhere. And then what might happen is that the body would be embalmed there.
Right.
And then when the body is being viewed at whatever office it is that the family are making the arrangement, the body would then be taken there to be viewed. Once the viewing has taken place, then the body would be taken back to the hub.
Okay.
So that's one way of doing it. Another way would be if it's smaller funeral directors or perhaps like ourselves, the body would come here, so ARKA. We have two premises, but only one we can keep bodies at because we have fridges here.
Right.
So this is where they would come, and then this is where they would stay. So once they arrive with us, we just gently wash them, make sure everybody is as okay as they can be, and then we place them into our refrigerated units where they stay unless they're viewed or unless the doctor needs to come and see them, or if the family want to be involved in washing and dressing them.
So you can have a viewing with an unembalmed body?
Absolutely, always.
On the subject of embalming, what are your thoughts around embalming? What do you know about it?
I know more than perhaps I want to know because I used to be an embalmer.
Wow.
So once I left the place that I wasn't happy working, I began the training to be an embalmer because I wanted to travel around and see how other funeral directors worked.
Yeah.
And not many people at that point were keen on taking women on as people collecting bodies or carrying the coffin. So I thought the way I could do it would be to embalm. So I trained up to be an embalmer, and then I travelled around the southeast going to different funeral directors, embalming their dead and seeing how others worked.
Cool.
And it's a hideous thing to have done.
What happens? What's the process?
It's invasive, it's terrible. So I'm not sure if people are aware, but it's a carcinogenic fluid, formaldehyde, that is pumped into the arterial system, and then the body fluid, including the blood, is sort of pumped out of the body and put into our general sewage system. So Obviously, arteries need to be cut into, so incisions are made in the skin of the body.
Yeah.
If arteries are furred up, a bit like pipes as we get older, you know, then maybe many incisions have to be made in the carotid artery and the femoral artery. So it's not a nice procedure and it's not needed. Yeah, it's hideous.
So, as far as I know, embalming started as a traditional funeral practice during the American Civil War.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, because they wanted a way to transport the bodies of the soldiers back home without decay or without significant decay. But this was done with arsenic.
Oh gosh, was it? Wow.
And it's only in recent years that we've moved on to formaldehyde, but formaldehyde, as you said, is still very, very dangerous. Facilities need to be very, very well ventilated, otherwise the embalmers themselves are at high risk of getting all sorts of diseases.
Absolutely. I remember when I was a veterinary nurse, we used to use Formula H, really, really, really diluted, to deeply clean dogs' kennels if they were infectious. So anything that we're using to an even higher degree that's really not good for us, then it's bound to have some kind of impact.
Yeah. Is it true that embalmers also require very highly protective clothing when you're handling embalming fluid?
Do you know, probably it's got tighter, the regulations, and I embalmed a long, long time ago, but I used to carry all my embalming equipment in the back of my car, and quite often the equipment might have some fluid left in some of the pipes, and my eyes would be constantly watering, and I would have to drive my windows open all the time because it was so horrible. So
that's not fun.
No, so it's not a good thing, and even though embalmers can be very proud of their work and how they can make bodies look, I don't think it helps us as a society in dealing with our dead. Embalming isn't needed in our modern world. The only time it is needed is if a body is being flown to a different country, so repatriated.
Yeah, I personally feel that embalming a body kind of distances us from the realities of death. Death is not an easy process, but it doesn't have to be fake. It doesn't have to be polished and perfect. It can be beautiful. And I strongly believe there is beauty in decay, because one of the issues with the way that we handle our bodies as we do now is that it breaks the nutrient cycle. Instead of the nutrients that our bodies hold being used, being composted, being put into the soil, or being eaten by animals, we're hiding it. We're breaking the cycle. We're taking so much and we're not putting anything back in.
Yeah, that's us as humans, isn't it?
Do you offer any other services here that a traditional funeral home might not?
I think we offer normality, we offer truth, humour. I think we offer quite a lot different to your regular funeral director. People can come and look after their own dead here, so they can come and wash and dress the body. Essential oils that people can use. We offer that people bring their own, or the person's own shampoo, moisturisers that they would have used, their curlers, you know, anything really, anything that, you know, I always say to people, if this person had been really hard to touch and to hug and everything in life, isn't it a wonderful thing to do after they've died, to be able to come and brush their hair and do their hair like they always liked it, but it was painful, and all these things. We give time for people to do that, and that is always done because we never embalm. So it's done as a regular thing, really.
So embalming is not
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen here. And since 2003, when we've opened, we've never embalmed. And we've had deaths that have been through accidents, through killing themselves. So quite violent actions, but we've still always been able to allow viewing.
One of the benefits of embalming, as far as I understand it, is that it gives you kind of, for a viewing or something where the body has been through trauma, it enables you to make it a little bit more lifelike.
Acceptable, isn't it? To what it is lifelike. I've had some people ring me and say, you know, I went to see my dad at another funeral home, they embalmed his body, he looks ridiculous, and I've had to go and do things to make him look less ridiculous. And it's weird because quite often if you go up to an embalmed body and touch, you know, they're rock hard. They're really rock hard, and it's quite a bizarre experience.
So, given all of this, what do you think the future of death care and the future of what you expect people to do with their dead looks like. Do you think because people are becoming more eco-conscious that we're going to be shifting towards a greener approach to death? Do you think green burial and eco-funerals are an option that's available to anyone?
I think I'm sort of hoping that as communities and as a society we're going to get more involved with our dead. So we're going to take ownership back instead of letting the big funeral industry churn away and just bleed us dry of money, really. Regarding the sort of eco-burials, you know, if everybody had an eco-burial, there wouldn't be the land, but people are looking at composting bodies, people are looking at resumation, people are looking at freeze, I can't think what it's called, what's it called, do you know?
Which one?
Where the body is frozen and then shattered.
Oh, I remember that one, but I can't remember what it's called.
But there's many other ways of looking, so resources don't need to be used and mercury not put out into the atmosphere, but there's different ways. But as a funeral industry here, it hasn't really been explored at all. It's like the funeral industry just wants to hold everything to itself rather than openly explore.
Yeah. What do you think the reason for that is?
Because they're in control. But things are slowly changing, you know, there's many people across the country now sort of offering people empowerment around death, so you would hope that slowly things will change.
I want to jump back actually to a point that you said as well earlier about mercury being released into the atmosphere. How does that happen?
But that happens through cremation, but now they have filters on the cremation process that should stop that happening from people's teeth when mercury was used to fill in teeth. So I've got some mercury fill-ins. They don't do them now, do they? I don't know when they stop, but it's still a consideration that...
But it's still, because some people still have them.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I guess my last question is, what would you like to happen to your body? What's your plans?
What's my plans? Okay, well, I want to be buried. I obviously don't want to be embalmed. I want friends. I want friends to be involved in the care of my body if they're up to doing that. I would love to be kept at home until the day of my funeral. A ceremony, I'd want it, I think, to be outside. I'd people to speak. I'd want music. I'd want it to reflect my life and what people meant to me as well. So I'm not sure where I want to be buried. I actually want to be buried in the traditional cemetery up near Woodvale because it's a lovely old traditional cemetery, but I don't need a headstone. I don't necessarily need a coffin. I don't mind just being wrapped in some beautiful blankets. You know, I'd like the thought of people embroidering messages to me when I'm wrapped in the blanket before I'm put in the ground. So just something very natural.
That all sounds very lovely.
But enough to stop the traffic.
Okay, well, I think that's everything that I have to ask you.
Wow.
Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I would just like to say it's up to all of you who are seeing this to make a change in the death world.
Up to you guys.
Over to you.
Come on.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Thank you so much for chatting with me and for making the time for me to be here.
No, thank you for coming. Good to meet you.
Hope if I die, then
when you die. Terrible. Denial.
When I die, that I can be buried in a very similar manner to what you just said.
Okay, good.
So there you have it. That was my chat with Cara. Thank you again so much to ARKA Original Funerals and to Cara for agreeing to meet with me. If you're based in or around Brighton and you're interested in talking to ARKA about your funeral, I'll leave their information in the description box down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something about green death and how to be sustainable after you die. And I hope you'll think about what you want to do with your corpse as well. Maybe dress it up. Maybe put it in your garden. Or maybe get your tissues dissolved and become a skeleton. I think that's what's going to happen with me. And it's really important to say that this video is not intended in any way at all to shame people who want to be embalmed or who want a traditional burial. It is your body, it is your choice, and it is your death. Whatever you feel most comfortable with, absolutely do that. But yeah, that's all I have for you today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, then hit the like button because it's a free way that you can support the channel. If you want to see more videos like this, then just click subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. No corpses were harmed in the making of this video.